You don't want to miss this train. So Lord, we thank you in advance.
People getting better.
No sound. Don't tell me there's no sound again. Good God, morning, people of God. You have tuned into the Solutions. I'm your host, Minister Corey Wright. As always, we know the problems are. We know we need to solve them. What I offer on this platform is solutions, dedicated acts of action that bring about true change and not just talk about change and no excuses. Excuses are man's tools of accomplishment that build bridges of nowhere and monuments of nothing. Broadcasting live on IntellectualRadio.com, our heart radio station. People of God, let my co-host introduce herself while I deal with this sound. Hold on. Go ahead.
Hello, I am April, aka Butterfly or Ebo, eclectic butterfly ocean, poetess, and new co-host for Minister Corey Wright. I'm glad you guys are tuning in. I hope I see more tuning in. Okay, they can hear us loud and clear now. Thank you so much.
Y'all gotta shoot. Hey,
make sure y'all call.
Right.
We want to hear.
Shoot the owner for buying this new stuff. We're gonna get him.
Don't shoot him.
We definitely get him.
We need him.
People, it sounds good. Hello, good people. I'm glad you tuned in today. I got her here. We're talking about today your exes. So we're talking about what happens if your ex decides they're going to get married again. Now, you're both active in your kid's life. You're both there in your life. And your ex say, I'm going to get married. Does that spouse, that new spouse, have the right to discipline your kids? Do they have any say-so in your kids? You know, or if you take on a woman with kids, do you have a say-so of her kids, or do you have a right to chastise her kids? We're going to talk about that today. We want your opinions as well. Me and my co-host, we're going to talk about it. The number is 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. April, I will give you the first go at it. What do you think?
You give me the first go. Well, I think it depends on the whole situation. Basically, if you are going to deal with someone else and you have children, then I'm sure before you get married, you should have already gone through the whole discussions and the cycles about how to handle the children and your thought process and the way that you choose to raise your children before you even met that person. I think that it should be a unit thing, not only with if it's a woman marrying a man or a man marrying a woman, that you all probably need to have a sit down and discuss the kids at some point. I know a lot of people, sometimes people have a hard time dealing with their ex dealing with someone else, but you're going to have to be the adult in that situation, because that other person deserves to be happy, whether it's with you or with someone else. If they choose to be with someone else, then so be it. You have to just go ahead and be the adult, swallow that pill, no matter how hard it hurts for you, because you still have children. The children still have to be parented, and you still have to be a parent. So I feel like, for me, like with my ex, if you deal with someone, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I want you to be happy. I want you to find somebody who's for you, because everybody deserves to be with somebody and everybody deserves to be happy. Just make sure that she knows that you have kids and that she don't mistreat my children. And it's just have to be open communication, because I'm always open. So I'll be open to communicate with her, or, whatever. If there's something going on in the house, your kids are going to always come back and tell you stuff anyway if they're being mistreated or if they think they're being mistreated. And I wouldn't just say, take whatever the kids say and then just start going at the other person's throat. I'm going to, have a discussion with this person if I can have a discussion, because some people are not open like that. Some people are they just want to fight. They just want to be angry. But
okay,
I say it's open.
Now let me say, okay, you come to pick up your girls. And I
have one son too.
You have a son too.
They're older now, so
okay. You can pick up your kids, and the new spouse pops your girl on top of her head in front of you. Like, didn't I tell you that earlier today? Pow! Don't do that no more. What would you do?
I'd be like,
She better swing on me. What you gonna do?
I'm just gonna be like, whoa, that's not what's going on, and that's not how you handle this, and I'll be trying to find out what happened first of all, because that's not necessarily disciplining my child, because I don't smack my child upside the head like that. I don't do that. So I'm not gonna sit there and let somebody else do it. I'm not gonna punch the lady in the eye or whatever, but I'm gonna, let her know, yo, this is not what we do. You need to talk to her better than that.
Yo, that really nice April was for a minute, but when I let somebody smack us out here, yo.
I'm gonna, let her know that's not the way to handle that. That's not how, we discipline. We need to talk about whatever's going on. You need to talk to her in a calm manner, because she is still a person. Even though she's a child, she's still a human being. You don't have a right to, mistreat her like that, because I don't smack her upside the head like that. So somebody else is not going to. So that, you're looking for a fight when you're doing crazy stuff like that. And why would you do that in front of me?
Right. I mean, because a lot has to do with your ex-mate. Like, listen, baby, they get out of pocket with you. You go upside the head. Now,
that's disrespectful.
Right. Because see, let's talk for me.
That scenario.
I would probably, I'm kind of torn between the two. And the reason why is because, I know my sons, and it would be hard for me to have another man discipline my kids. But then at the same time, any kid that's in my house, and I'm not talking about if I'm living with somebody, I'm talking about in my house, needs to respect me, and they're not going to do anything contrary to my kids. So If my kids need to do something immediately, your kids need to do something immediately. So for me, the first thing is, I think that a couple has to establish the house first. Because I can't come into somebody else's house and tell their kids what they got to do in their house. You know what I mean? Because you've been living a certain way with somebody else a certain way. See, it's different when you move into my house that I own, or that I set the standard for. Right. Now, so therefore, that's the first thing. The second thing is that if I'm active in my kid's life, and I'm just speaking from a father point of view, not from a minister point of view, is that I would probably be a little, because I need to know who this person putting their hands on my kids, where they've been at, and everything. Now, let's take my situation. A sit down would never happen with one of my son's mom, because they don't want to sit down with me, much less go sit down with a new spouse. And because of their feelings for me or whatever, that will never happen. But being that kids are with my spouse, they'll be with me. And that's how I think will alleviate the situation. But I don't think it's easy for the mom to let go. Now, if that person, like, let's take for my instance now, and I'm engaged to a lady who has a 16-year-old son, and father is deceased. So I would step into a role of being his parent because his regular parent is not there. So that's different. But at the same time, it would be an understanding that, okay, let me let you get to know me and understand. But if there's a point where you feel like I'm going to get out of pocket, just like I would do my kids, I'm going to do you the same way. But let me establish that in my home, not in your house. And I think that anybody that got kids should establish residency in a neutral place for both of them, and set rules and standards that both of them enforce. I don't think that a man or a female, like if I got a house already, a woman can come in my house and tell me what I should do in my house, because it's already tainted that way. Does that make sense? Sound crazy?
No, it's how you already established your household.
Right.
So.
Whereas if you're in your own house, that would be different. But you think about that, because spouse to come and say, I don't like the way you raise your kids. They're not getting enough exercise, or they're not reading enough. How would you respond to that?
I would have the discussion with that person and be like, I would want to understand where they're coming from with it and their suggestions. At the end of the day, you have to determine if that's the person for you and your kids.
I got one for you. Your ex new wife says, you know what? you should let me comb my hair because you don't know what you doing. How you gonna respond to that?
I don't
Look at April's face, y'all.
I don't think I will ever have to deal with anything like that.
Why not? I mean, how would you deal with that?
I wouldn't have to. Like, that wouldn't happen. Like, if it happened, okay, we're doing hypotheticals. If it happened, I would just let her know, you know, I've been doing my children's hair for years. I've been doing hair for years. So your opinion is your opinion. I'll do their hair the way I see fit to do it. You know, you don't have to like the styles I do. You know, if they say they would rather you do their hair, maybe she does hair too. They would rather you do their hair and they're comfortable with that, then we can have a discussion about that. But don't come to me and tell me I don't know what I'm doing, or, you know, come to me in a disrespectful manner. Don't disrespect me, because if I go in, you're not going to like it. So
now, is it possible? Let's talk about this. Is it possible that, especially if you had deep feelings for this man, is it possible that you can all be friends for the kid's sake? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. It depends on the mentality and the maturity level of the other person. Sometimes it might be hard and you might have to step back from a situation, or you might say, I can't participate in that because I feel a certain type of way, you know, and I can't deal with it. Your limits are, you know, what you can deal with and what you can't deal with. Some people don't know it, and then they'll go like they're fine, and then next thing you know, everybody's fighting. You know, you don't really want to expose your children to that. So you kind of have to know where you are in the situation.
Now, okay, let's talk about the kids. Is it fair to the kids to be say, okay, now you have to mind this lady? Is it, whose job is it to build that gap? Is it
both parents?
Is it the parents, or you know, is it the spouse? Do they have to go a little extra mile because of the situation? Should they be overly nice to the ex, or should they ask the ex how they like to do something? Let's say, for instance, you pick up your child and your child say, well, I can't go with you this weekend because my stepdad put me on punishment.
Oh, no,
would you
that's
have
ridiculous.
A problem with that?
That's not even realistic.
It could happen.
That's not realistic, though. Like, I'm the parent, so regardless of what the step parents say, at the end of the day, I'm the parent. Like, if my ex was with someone else and my kids, they wouldn't even say that to me because they already know that
she
whatever.
Crazy.
You know, exactly. Like, that is not even realistic. Like, you cannot overstep your role. You know what I'm saying? And take over my role.
Right. Grown folks, let's see what Vanessa Canterbury. What's up, Vanessa? Grown folks need to stop playing childish games and have a conversation. That is so true. But
don't put the kids in the middle or try to use them as a pawn. Like, that's not.
And that's
not good.
They do. I know this. I have been fighting for years in court with my kids. And I understand, because, see, every situation you put in, just like, you know, I've been in situations where I have moved into a situation. Okay, I'll be there because maybe it might help or it might grow. But at the same time, I know that if I'm going to go to the next level with a lady and we're going to get married, we're going to settle down, we have to be in a neutral place. Because the last thing I'm going to do, because if you think about what scripture says about your marriage, is that you forsake all others, that your spouse comes before everybody, you know, and including your kids. It comes before that. But a lot of people don't want to look at it like that, you know, and it's not the point, because I would never bring anybody around my kids that I know that would be abusive or that would hurt them. The feelings that my son moms have for me, that they would never be friends and never be cool. And the only time they would be friends or cool is to try to destroy it. Because why would you want to see something or somebody else be greater in something else that you didn't do, or with somebody else growing? So that would always be a factor. But, you know, it's I'm in between on this one, because, you know, I understand how, as a father, going back and forth, and I've done that 3 times. I've never had a child that lived with me full time constantly. It's always, okay, I go get them, we go spend the weekend, we'll spend the time, and that's it. Your house over there, house over there. So I've never had it. So, and then, you know, it's different moving. And I've dated somebody with kids who is very protective of their kids. If somebody else say something to their kids, no, you can't say nothing to my kids, or not, you know. So how many people are facing this situation that really don't talk about it? You know, I think, and this is the way I feel, if you live in my house, eat my food, you my kid. And I am not going to ask you to do anything if you take it. Now, it's a choice. You know, it's a choice. Again, and that is when you have your own established house, not when you move into somebody else's house, because you can't correct the situation that somebody else did correct. A lot of the things come in, whereas you feel like that I'm the man of the house. You're not the man of a house that you moved into a house that somebody else already reside in. They already have a set thing or plan. You're not the house. You're not the man. You're only the man in the house when you establish residency at a new place with a new goal, a new thing. Sometimes you can't go into old people stuff and think you're gonna change it.
Okay, so what you're saying is if your ex-wife decided to marry someone else, if she marries someone else and they living in her house, then he's not the man of the house. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that. And I'm gonna say that, and a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy when I say it, because I'm gonna say that because here's the thing. Sometimes when you start something new, you need to be new in it. See, you can't. It's just like Scripture said. You can't put old wine in new wineskins. You can't. You can't. Because see, here's the thing. You know how it functions there. So you always can revert back to the way things are, opposed to new things. Like, okay, if I come into your house, you know where everything is in your house. So I'm not coming in to start something new. I'm coming in to take on your old habits. So when something happens, it might seem wrong to me, but it's not to you because you're used to it. But if we come into something that we both start off at the same time, and we both got to feel our way, and we both have to come together on situations where we have to both compromise on to create a better situation, then that's different. Because now we can go from there. But if you come into my place and I already have it established, then there is the friction because you're trying to change something that I already am comfortable in. Sometimes the unknown is greater to have the unknown in the unknown because you don't know. So therefore you have to adapt. It's like being in a gutter, but I'm making means to be in a penthouse, but I'm not in a penthouse yet. So if you come live with my gutter and with me in the gutter, you're not going, even if you're in a penthouse, you're still going to get gutter mentality. And then when you get a penthouse thought, I can always revert to a gutter mentality because we were in the gutter. But if we both in a penthouse together, we never been here, and we decide, okay, this is good here. We have established something that we set in the beginning together. We put our mark, we enforce it. But if we just say, okay, yours and mine, because see, first thing that child gonna say, hey, we were making it before you got here. Look at it. I know don't get it that.
I kind of don't totally agree with you.
Come on.
Because again, it's based on that other parent. Like if you have your place established and you have a new wife and your new wife comes live with you and your husband, everybody can't afford to buy a new house and start all over that way. Maybe they will eventually, but if that woman decides that she wants to have a husband and that husband comes to live with her, you have no say in that household. You have no say in that household anyway because you don't live there. You have a say over your children, but you have no say in how she runs her household, as a whole. You have a say in how you guys decide to raise the children and how the disciplinary system will work. But you can't say that man is not the man of her house if she's chosen to have that man be the man of her house. Just like she can't say your woman can't be the woman of your house or the lady of your house when you've made that decision. That's your decision. That's her decision.
No, give me. I'm talking. I'm not talking from a standpoint of parents. I'm talking about new spouse. I'm talking about new spouse. I'm talking about if I'm your new spouse, we need to get a new house, not move into your old house.
Well, I mean, if it's possible, that's up to those two people to agree on. Needs to stop. We knew what? We knew who. Oh, it's messing up. I can't.
Somebody.
Okay. Oh.
Don't worry about it. Somebody who? Don't worry about it. This
I'm messing up, y'all. I'm sorry.
Tap the screen so we get out of it. Yeah, pull it down or something. Don't worry about it. What is she doing? Did she do it? Oh my goodness. She done messed up the stuff. Here, talk. Let me fix it.
I don't know.
What is she doing?
I don't know.
What is she doing?
I don't know what I did. You said tap the screen. That's what I did. Live viewers.
Okay. All right. Now, did you get the screen?
I don't know what happened. There's your finger. I didn't move the thing. It's sideways.
Oh, wow. What is that? Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead. Girl, why you?
Don't post.
Go ahead, Tom.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if you guys could hear us still.
No, we
gotta switch we gotta switch seats so you can mess with that because I'm messing up.
Okay. This is what you did.
I didn't even touch that.
There we go.
I guess I did.
She done messed up.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm sorry, people. My co-hosts are coming here testing stuff. I'll make sure she don't tell nothing else.
Yeah, make sure I'm not a techie.
Now,
communication.
People are like, man, how you gonna just cut off everything?
I don't need to see what's going on. No,
look at that, cutting off everything. But it is. Thank you guys for coming back. Shoot the new host. But it is something that we go through because a lot of it again has to do with your ex don't want to see you with somebody and see you happy.
Sometimes.
And then you got to look at how old the kids are. Now, I think that's a great factor in the fact when you look at marrying with kids, because if you got somebody that is a part of divorce, somebody who was with you're with their dad or their mom, and you divorce, and they had to go through this divorce process, they might resent that new parent trying to tell them anything, especially they're 16, 15. My mom is, or as a new spouse, how do you get past that? Well, my mom don't do it that way. Or, here go your eggs, baby. My mom don't cook it that way. My mom put them in there. How do you get over that?
I don't know. It's a whole process. I think it takes time and communication between the spouses and the children. Like you have to really listen to the children and communicate with the kids. You can always discipline without putting a finger on the child. I personally feel like men should not put their hands on women. Therefore, a father should not hit his. Because that teaches her that it's probably okay. I'm sorry.
Here she go again, y'all. All right, that's good.
Okay. Not even the father. Let me see. I'm sorry.
It's a discipline because they're thinking. Okay, I get what she's saying. She's saying that she feels that, and please, y'all call in 708-223-8953. She said that she doesn't feel that a man should hit a child anyway, even the father, because you don't want the child to grow up and think that it's okay for a man to abuse a woman or a woman to get abused. I agree, but but a father needs to know how far to take it. Now, you're right. You got a point. Do I feel that another male should ever touch my daughter? No. That now you right on that. I have a problem with that. If a new female spouse, I don't know if I would have a problem with that, depending on why she doing it or what's the reason, or if my daughter was disrespectful to her or something like that, because she needs to have order over my child while it's there, because if something should happen, she's got to be responsible for it because she is adult in the house. But no, I would have a serious problem. My daughter came to me and said that her mom let her stepdad hit her. Then both of them will probably gonna catch it that night, because I'm coming at both of them, because you don't put if I got a daughter, you don't put your hands on my daughter. You don't even let my daughter sit on your lap. There's no reason for you to even touch my daughter. Now, that part I would have a problem with. And you?
That I agree with. When I'm saying discipline is not necessarily spanking the kid,
Okay, we got a call. Hey, this is Minister Wright. Who's this?
Hey, this is Chris from Candid Talk Radio on IntellectualRadio.com. I was listening to your show.
Hey, and I'm glad you listened, even though my new co-host was sabotaging my Facebook.
I'm not sabotaging. I apologize. I didn't mean to.
Hey, what's your thoughts?
So my thought is, I feel like, because I have that relationship. I got remarried. I wasn't married to my daughter's father, but I got married. And, okay, I'll go back. I divorced my son's father and was with my daughter's father. Now, because I didn't marry him, I literally did not allow him to discipline. He could talk to him, but yeah, no, he was not allowed to, you know, spank them or anything like that. But I'm married now to my daughter. I'm married again. Let's just say I'm married again. Not like Elizabeth Taylor, but I'm married again. But he does not spank my daughter, but he will talk to her. She's only 9. And he will talk to her. I wouldn't, if she did something wrong, because I do know my husband, I would not have a problem with that. And I also spoke to her father on it. And he's actually spoke to my husband and said, hey, if she's doing something wrong, I want you to direct her to do the right thing and not do anything wrong. So he said he didn't have a problem with it.
But he doesn't physically hit her. Long he could discipline her or let me say some things to you, but not physically hit her.
If she's out of line and needs a spanking, my ex said he has no problem with him spanking her.
Okay, wow. What do you think, April?
I mean, like I said, it's an open situation. It's based on the unit. They all made an agreement. They all sat down and discussed it amongst each other and with the children. So if that's what their household agreement is, that's what their household agreement is. And she knows her husband well enough to know that he's not going to abuse her child. Just like you said the same thing, and I said the same thing. You have to know the person who you're dealing with before you even decide to marry them. You should know if this is the right person to have around your children.
Now, let me ask you a question. Check this out. So do you think a lot of this has to do with the other mate don't want to see you happy, or do you think it's resentful feelings that make it hard for spouses to sit down, or we all sit down collectively for the kids' sake?
I just think a lot of people don't sit down and think about what's in the best interest of the child. Before I got married, I had my ex and my fiance come together, and we all sat down and we talked about everything. When there is a decision made for my daughter, the three of us talk about it.
Beautiful.
So you feel that the new spouse should have say so in the development of your child because they're your spouse.
He's physically in the house with her. Yes.
Okay, that's pretty deep.
I didn't just come up with that decision by myself. I talked to my ex before I even put my husband in the mix. He and I had a talk.
Okay, now let me be devil advocate for a minute, okay?
That's an adult decision, and
that's a great decision. But let me be devil advocate for a minute for talk show. You know, I won't be a talk show one day.
Oh, go right ahead.
Right. Say for instance, your spouse did chastise your daughter in front of your ex, and he caught that. Maybe he thought that it was a little excessive, or he just was like, hey, you know what, man? You know what? That's a little bit too much, man. You know, what would you do? How would you step in the middle of that?
I would have to respect his feelings because that is his child. And I would have to look at my husband like, hey, y'all, we need to talk about this.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, that is her father. And I respect his feelings. And he may have some feelings, and my husband has to respect his feelings too. Because that is her dad. It's not taken away from one from the other. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of respect. And a lot of times we get into these new relationships, and granted, if the old person has feelings or whatever, you still got to do what's in the best interest of the child. And I'm glad that I was mature enough to say, hey, we all need to sit down. Let's get a game plan. You know, he's going to be in the house with her. He's going to be helping me raise her. You're still her dad. And we came together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm glad that everybody was able to be mature about the situation and focusing on the children, because everybody does not do that. Everybody's not as open. Everybody don't have that village mentality.
Prime example was just a couple of days ago, she didn't do her homework. So my husband was like, well, Megan, where's your homework? And she was like, well, I didn't do that part. I didn't want to do it. And he was like, well, you got to do your homework. Now, every night before she goes to bed, she calls her dad. So he told her, he said, you know, get in there and do your homework. You know, he saw that my ex was calling. He was like, tell your dad that you have to do your homework. Of course, she gets on the phone with her crocodile tears and Tony's been mean and da-da-da-da-da. And so then he's like, okay, I'll talk to Tony, but, you know, what did you do? I just didn't finish my homework. But she didn't put it in the part like, I don't want to do it and I'm not doing it kind of attitude is what she had. She's 9. So he called, he got off the phone with her and he called my husband and he was like, with Megan, she seemed upset and he was like, hey, he told me she didn't feel like doing her homework and, you know, and I told her she couldn't talk to you, you know, until she got the homework done, da-da-da-da. So he was like, oh, okay, she didn't tell me the whole story. Okay, well, I'm glad that you on top of her about that and I'm about to call her and get on her. So let me talk to her real quick. So he called and he's like, well, Megan, you didn't tell Daddy the whole truth. You were supposed to tell me that you didn't do your homework.
Wow.
And so she says to my husband, oh, so you and my daddy a team?
Wow.
And he should have told him yes. Told her yes.
He said, me, mommy, and daddy, we are all a team. And all 3 of us gonna check your homework and we gonna know when you don't do your homework.
That's right.
That's, you know, that's good because I you know, and you know what? I'm glad you said that because I'm sitting up here like, because, you know, I don't know how I would feel. And, you know, we should work together if my ex's new husband say, you can't talk to me until you finish your homework. I'm still a dad. You know, I would probably have a little problem with that. That's just me. But I you know, I'm just being honest.
No, I know he had a problem with it because that's why he immediately got off the phone and called him. But when my husband explained to him why he told her that, then he was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's you right then. If she ain't did her homework, it's 7:30 at night. And, you know, he calls her before she go to bed at 8 o'clock. So 7:30 at night, you still don't have your homework done. So that's the issue for them.
Let me ask you a question. Then who word supersedes? Your husband or the dad? Who has the last word?
Say that one more time.
Who has the last word? Your husband or the dad?
Her dad does. Her dad does. But I mean, again, they work together.
That's
if
good.
I'm not around, they work together.
Since you guys all work together, I would suggest, not telling you how to run your house, but I would suggest, like, in the future, since that happened, if something happens like that again, maybe he could text your husband and let him know, like, give him a heads up. Hey, Megan may call you because blah, blah, blah.
It wasn't like that. He just happened to call when he was telling her to get in there and do her homework. He just happened to call.
Oh, okay, I see.
He tell me to do my homework, Daddy. Come over here with the shotgun.
She doesn't have a home phone. She doesn't have a cell phone, so the home phone is in her room.
Okay.
So the only person that calls is her dad, and like her grandmother from the dad's side will call on her phone. So he was, and it shows up on our TV. So he was like, tell your dad that you'll call him back after you do your homework. You can't talk to him right now. You know, so, and then he left out. He didn't stand in there to listen to the conversation or anything. So that's why she did the crocodile tears and all the dramatic.
Wow. Okay.
It's all about working together.
Yeah.
You know what? I God bless you for that. That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you called in.
All right. Great to show you guys.
Good job, Queen.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye. Great testimony. Great story. Yeah. I love it. You know, I mean, and I'm still working. And you know what? A lot has to do with me, with the relationships I have with my son, mom, which I have none. You know, the only time that we've ever came to any agreement has been in a courtroom or a court. You know, I've always been in a situation whereas my son, moms has used my kids against me to hurt me. And I've always had to go to court to see them, opposed to them. We sitting down working together. So me sitting down with my new spouse, that will not happen. But the thing is that being that I have rights, and that's why you have court rights where you can have visitation where it's set for, then that is the way that we would deal with our kids. But that what she just spoke about is something I dream would happen, but would never happen with one of my son, mom, because we would never sit together. And the only one that ever came close to that was my baby boy mom, where all she would do for all the kids, and all the kids could be around. But nobody else. I've never, not once, left my kids with all 3 of my kids with one of my son mom, unless it was my baby boy mom. But the other 2, no. You ain't my kids, we ain't gonna have it, you know. And for me, that just ain't possible, you know. And I guess the relationship I got with them probably look at what I think is possible. You know, because I mean, I just feel like my kids have been through too much already with two parents that can't get along together.
Yeah.
Then bring another new person in the mix, trying to all work together. I just think that would be, because they would tank that and use it as an opportunity to sabotage my marriage. So I just believe that oil and vinegar don't mix, gasoline and oil don't mix. Let me just leave
Well,
you over here.
you have to know your limits. You know your situation. And you can just do the best that you can, because unfortunately you can't make another person do what they're supposed to do. Trust me, I know. You can be the adult and you could be the mature person. You could try to talk to the person, but if they choose not to, be civil or be an adult about the situation, there's nothing that you can do about that. And the kids get caught in the middle, which is very unfortunate, because they end up with scars and bruises that they didn't need to have. They end up in the middle of adult stuff that they shouldn't even have to deal with. It has nothing to do with them. So that's the sad part about it.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let's talk about parents. Is it possible that the other parent can be jealous of the new parent spouse? Let's say, for you work at McDonald's, but your ex married somebody that's a registered nurse or that's a head of a company. And the child always saying that, my daddy wife do this and she do that and she do this for me, and you can only buy your child regular Nikes, but she buy your child 3-4 pairs of Mikes a night. And you would could that really be an issue that the other parent could be jealous of the new spouse?
Yes, of course.
How you deal with that? I don't think I'm just gonna let you answer that. She goes, yeah, it's okay. Like, I'm gonna let her answer that.
I think that jealousy is an issue when you're human and you have, a way, but you have to figure out how to overcome that, because at the end of the day, again, it's still about the child. And you have to overcome your own personal issues. That's your own personal issue. If you have an issue with this other spouse, if you're a woman and it's your ex's wife, you have an issue with, her career choice and the money that she make, then maybe you just have to step up your game or something. There's nothing that you're going to do about that. She's not going to change who she is. She's not going to, love your child less because you are, feeling any type of way. Maybe y'all can have a discussion if you are both mature enough to have a discussion about the things that she's buying her or something, and come to some type of agreement. But you have to be an adult about it. You have to overcome that situation, just like you have to overcome the fact that you're no longer with your husband, or you're no longer with your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend. You have to overcome it all, because it has to just be focused in on the kids, because you guys are not together anymore. You have to be, cordial. If you can be cordial, if you can be friends, great. I would have wanted to be friends with my ex, but if a person isn't there, they're not there. You can't make a person do anything. Especially when they're an adult. You can't make them do anything. They have to come upon that themselves.
So, what if let me talk about it. Let's push that envelope a little bit. What if there's a man that your father of your kids that has gone, but then he wants to come back in their life, but he come back in their life with a new wife. Now he left funky. Mm-hmm. He might have cheated on you. He left you taking care of these kids for years, but now he want to come back in their life, and he wants to be a part of their life. And even though he wasn't there, that's still something that God gave him the right to be a pop, be a mother. Mm-hmm. So he come back and say, okay, I want to be in my kid's life, but I got this spouse. How do you deal with that?
You have to sit down. You all have to talk about it, because you have to sit down and talk about it. Sorry. Because he was not present for so long. So that means that he didn't have an interaction with the children. So you and him have to have a discussion first. Then, you and him and his spouse, and then, you have to talk about it with your kids one-on-one, talk about it with your kids with him, and, see where everybody is and what everybody's comfort level is, to see how to start the process of them interacting with each other. Maybe they don't go with the dad for weekends at a time and stuff like that. If you want to call in, the number is 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. That's good. You feel that because you have kids, you have a right
to, or do, okay, let me put it like this. Does kids put you in their relationship anyway?
What do you mean?
Well, that I need to know what's around my child. I need to know what type of person this person is.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what type of relationship I need to know because my kid's dead.
Yes. I mean, they have to know the type of person that they are because they're around your child all the time. So you need to be able to communicate with this person. This person needs to be open to communication. If my child is there and my ex is away at work or wherever, if I want to, decide that I want to come over, I need to make a phone call, then I need to know that I can do that. I need to have an open door policy. That's just me. If I can't have an open door policy, then my children don't need to be there with you because I feel like you hiding something or you trying to confine them to something, or I just don't feel right about that. That's even with my kids are in daycare. I need to send my kids to a daycare or a school that has an open door policy where I can come in, see them if I need to see them. I don't even have to come in, but if I want to ask one of my children something or I need to make a phone call to them, then that needs not to be a problem.
Because so now, what if you got somebody like a man saying, because I'm setting it, I got to set I got my Oprah moment.
Yeah.
You have a man saying, "Oh, Keisha, you gonna call in? Come on, call in." The number is 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. It was on the first broadcast that my co-host stopped it, but it's 708-223-8953. Call in. Because now, what if you got this spouse saying, because your kid's dad, do you trust them with your kids?
Yes.
Do you know that he would lay his life down?
Pretty much.
Okay. Does he trust you with your kids?
Of course.
Okay, wait a minute, hold on. She kind of switched that on the man and the woman. Of course, you better know that I'm going to do it. My kid's mom know that, and I would think that if you got an active father in their life, or active mother in their life, let me see. You on the Solutions Radio Show with Minister Wright. Who's this?
This is Keisha. How are you?
Hey, Minister Keisha, how you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored. Thank you.
What's going on, awesome woman of God?
Hey, so before I start, excuse the wind. I'm at work, but I had to jump in on this. I was burning. I have been in every last one of those situations, and I just want to elaborate a little bit on those.
Go ahead.
So the first situation, I'll make it short. So the first situation I agree with, I don't remember her name, I apologize. It's so important that we as adults sit down with our children before we even think about moving forward in a marriage, because regardless of the situation, the children have to be happy and satisfied with our spouse as well as we are. Because if they're not, it creates a lot of tension, a lot of frustration, a lot of, pulling from one side to the other. And it makes the marriage seem like it's not even worth it. And it could be a really good marriage. But if your children, regardless of the age, it's not, it's going to be a competitive thing. It's going to be, I need you to spend more time with me. Or it's going to be going to the opposite parent, pulling in that parent trying to cause more confusion. So it's so important that we all sit down and have it, look, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're doing moving forward. What's your opinion? How do you feel? What's your expectations? These things are important. This is what we need.
Okay.
So as far as the comment you just made about how do we deal with the jealousy of can another parent be jealous? Absolutely they can.
Come on, preach on it.
Absolutely. So I'll give you a prime example. A gentleman that I was engaged to was raising his son, and him and I moved in together. And I'm one of the parents that believe that my children have to grow up and take care of themselves. Children when they were younger, how to cook and clean and things by themselves. So as my son, as I moved in with this gentleman and he was raising his son, when I was teaching my son to cook, I pulled his son in. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're cooking today. Write it down or whatever. We go over it, and I made it fun for everyone. And he was so excited about this. He went and told his mom, hey, this is what I'm learning from, and he called me mom.
And like I told my stepchildren at that time, whatever you are comfortable calling me, I never forced mom on that. It's the comfort level for the children. Mm-hmm. I was good with whatever they were comfortable with.
Okay.
So, hey, I went, hey, mom was teaching me, because he called his mom M.A., and he called me mom, right? So he said, hey, mom was teaching me, how to cook, and this is what I learned. And instead of her calling and saying, hey, I'm glad you're teaching my son, it was, oh, well, you can't go back over there, and I'm going to fight for cuts. It's like, it's not that serious. And this is the problem that we have to this day. We as parents are not coming together to support our children. Instead, we're still bickering and arguing with each other about past relationships that ended 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Preach.
You got to let it go. You have to let that go. Just because it didn't work for me and you, we still have something in common, which is our child. Yeah. And although we can't get along as two people, we still have to grow our children up to know that it's going to be okay, regardless if we're together or not. They need that. It's important. And the men, yes, they have to stand up and be more accountable for being in their children's life and building structure and stability for them. It's important.
Go ahead,
as women, we have to be more accountable as well. It's not just a man's job to make these children comfortable. We have to take accountability for what's going on as well. It's not one-sided. It never has been, and it shouldn't be. Hey, this is what we have to do. Mom, this is where I stand. This is dad. This is where he stands. Regardless of what we go through, we're your parents, and this is how it should go. I'm not against your dad. He's not against me. When it comes to you, we are still a team. Period. That's the end of it.
So now, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So when you got married, was there any issues in that? Because, I know how beautiful you are. So I know they other spouses and the exes was like, listen, you ain't going to bring her up in here like this around my kid. Did you face any of that?
Miss Wright, let me say thank you. I will tell you this. The reason why I spoke on my first conversation, because unfortunately we are in the process of a divorce. But God is good.
Wow.
And the reason is that's this situation right here that we're speaking on. That's why I thought I was burning. I had to get it out. I married my husband, and one thing is most important is you have to have God in your marriage, in your life, in your everything. Yes. Before you do anything, you have to consult with the Father first. It's so important. It's so important. So when you consult with him, and this is the route you're taking, when I didn't meet my stepchildren at the very beginning when I got married to my husband, and I begged because I'm a mom. Minister Wright, you know how I am. I love children. I don't know whose children it is. Like, I love them, right?
Yes.
So I didn't get a chance to meet the children when we first got married, and I asked my husband at that time, hey, I want to meet the kids. And it was always, well, we'll get them next summer. We'll get them for whatever, right? So me from FBI, because I am a female.
And I know you're going to find out.
So I played the FBI, and I end up reaching out to the mom of one of.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I did.
Oh, no, you didn't.
You know why? Because listen.
My.
Because
you reached out to one of the moms? Oh, my.
I absolutely did. And the reason why I did it, and this is how I came to her. I came to her very nice, and I said, I know you and I have never met. I know you know that I am your son's father's wife. And I said, I'm not coming to you any disrespect. I just want you to know that I have never met your son, but I would really love for you and I to sit down and talk so you and I can get an understanding of what role I'm trying to play in your son's life. I'm not going to step on your toes or even replace you, but I am trying to be an assistant to both of you and my husband with your son.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall of that conversation.
Let me tell you what this woman told me. She said, I understand what you're trying to do, but I told my ex-husband, because they were married, I told my ex-husband, as long as he married anybody, he would never get a chance to bring my son around him.
Wow.
Yeah, she said it. I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for your son. I said, because he's going to grow up and see so much mischief in the house. It's more here in this world. But then I told her, God bless you and you take care of yourself. But again, if he ever needs anyone or would like to call, I am still here, because I am a person that refers back to the Bible all the time. You know what I mean? I'm just that person. So I left it at that. But my husband at the time, he let this situation, and believe me, he had court orders, Minister Wright, that said he can get his children half the year. But he was so afraid of stuff that would come behind it, he neglected to get his children. That alone for me, you can't come in my house and take care of my kids and don't take care of your own. I'm not going to let that happen.
Preach.
Because you'll never be able to walk around. No one will ever be able to walk around and say, hey, well, he took care of yours and take care of his own. No. If we are a family, we are a family. That means my children, your children, me, you and I. That's how it goes. I have introduced him to my kids' dad. I am so happy that my children's dads were adults. They talk to them. They even want to spend time with him. But I have never met his children's mom.
Even to this day?
I can't live like that.
Even to this day, you haven't met his kids?
Till this day, to this very day. And so when I did a lot of praying, I worked on my marriage. I did a lot of counseling. I prayed. And Minister Wright, I'll tell you this. God is so good all the time. You know, we have to remember that there's due season for everything. And there are things that we claim we want may not be in the cards for us forever. You know, some people come into your life to teach you a lesson. It's a place of lesson. That's it. And that's the concept that I took from it. Do I love my husband? Of course I do. I would have loved to have loved stepchildren, but I never got that opportunity. So that's why I said it's so important before you even think about getting married, that you have that opportunity to sit down and talk to your children, all of your children. It's important to talk to your children's mother or father. But according to the Bible, when we speak of this spanking thing, I am not an advocate of putting your hands on my child. However, I am an advocate of, if I'm married and it's godly and it's ordained, my husband's last word matters. That's in the Bible, not my child's father. Yes, that's my child's father. However, in the Bible, when you are married, you read those scriptures that tell you when you are married, it is you and him. And it's a concept that we can't seem to accept. We don't want to accept all of it. But if you're going to give your life up, give it to him 100%, not partial. You know, there's a question I was asked years ago. You know what it says in the Bible, this and that, but if your mom was drowning, your husband was drowning, which is a hard question, who would you save? Now, before I really read my Bible and got into my relationship with God itself, Minister Wright, I said, I would say my mother. I can marry somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right, but according to the Bible, you're supposed to save your husband.
But according to the Bible, you're supposed to say, I will save my husband and I will allow my mom to drown. You know, that's hard to say. But in reality, that's the way we were raised and taught, and it's in the Bible. You know what I mean? So those are things that we still have to work on, but I'm not an advocate of nobody putting their hands on. You can discipline a child without putting your hands on them. However, if they have to get spanked for being totally disrespectful, I'm 100% an advocate of it. I'm sorry, I am.
Okay.
If it's a stepchild, I would never put my hands on my stepkids. I would definitely tell the dad. And if something happened with my kids, I would definitely want him to tell me. But if I'm not there and they're being totally disrespectful or rude, and he had to sit them down and whatever the case is, and yes, what can I say? Especially if he's providing the house, home, and shelter. What do you tell them? Why do we limit them to say, yes, you can provide for them. Yes, you can take care of them financially and feed them and put clothes on them and pay bills, but you cannot discipline them. Why is there a major limitation with that?
Wow, look at you, woman of God. Wow, Minister Keisha Cash. Whoa. I am so proud of you. Thank you for the wonderful testimony and everything. And just tell me.
Always welcome. You know, I'm waiting to come on that. So I just have to get up there. I'm still in Seattle working on a project.
That's what I'm going to ask you. Where did this construction thing come from? You know?
You know, I'm out here working with the men up on these.
I see. I mean, you've always been a strong lady, beautiful lady, but construction, even our days of finger, I'd have never seen you as a construction worker, you know, because I know they'd be like, that's one strong, pretty lady. What's she so? Wow. I would have never thought construction.
It called me. I promise you that it snatched me in, and I have took off running. I've been in this field 15 years. I love it.
Wow.
You know, it's always a pull because I am a female and I am up here climbing poles and walls with men, and they can't concept it sometimes, but it's okay.
I can't concept it. I know how beautiful. I can't concept that Keisha from Finger is a construction worker who climbing poles and do. Listen, I'm a man and I ain't gonna do it.
I've been sitting with my hard hat on and my harness and my boots. Every time I come out, they just look at me and shake their head.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you this. They protect me like a little sister.
Because they look like, because first of all, they look like, what is this pretty lady out here doing this? And then they see, money. Well, she rough and tough like us.
But I'm out here trying to build a business so I can look at them and tell them what time to come in and out. You understand? I'm
proud of you. Wow, Minister Keisha Cash. But keep doing God's work. Thank you, caller. As soon as you come in, you know, because you got a heck of a testimony. The show is yours whenever you come to Chicago.
Thank you, sir. You all have a blessed day.
Oh, you too. I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, bye. Wow, what a great testimony. Yes. That's amazing. Because, you know, we're talking about people again, and you want to call in 708-223-8953. You was about to say something.
Yeah, I was going to touch on when she said that she would never put her hands on her stepchildren. Me, I'm different. Like, I raise my children and any other kids in my household as if they were mine. So I did have a stepson, and he came and lived with us. And when all them got in trouble and everybody had to get a spanking, line up from oldest to youngest. They already know, you know. He did try to say that I abused him and I was mean to him. But no, I'm going to treat you just like I treat everybody else. If everybody in trouble, you're in trouble. If I say sit down, then you have to sit down too. You know, he wanted to basically do whatever he wanted to do, because unfortunately, like the same situation with Keisha, that's her name. That was just on. Yeah. The same situation with Keisha. His dad wasn't his life like he should have been because of fear. So he say, you know, and I think that a lot of times that's a cop out for men in particular, with, you know, not taking a stand for their children. Like if your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, your baby mama, however you want to describe her, don't allow you to be in your child's life, then guess what? That's what the court system for. You need to be in that child's life. That child shouldn't have to call you. You should be calling your child. You should be letting your child know who you are and how you feel about them, letting them know you love them, even if you're in a different state, because they are the child, you are the adult. So you have to take that position as the adult. They shouldn't have to wait for you or call on you all the time. You should be calling them. And that was one of the problems that I had also.
Well, here's the thing about that. Now, I'm a recipient of the other side, because, you know, what happens, we don't talk about the baby mothers that use the kids as pawns, as a vicious against
That's
the kids.
What I'm saying.
Because, see, you have a court system, but see, here's the thing, because you have to look at the fact that what effect does it have on the kid long term? See, that's the thing, because my oldest son right now, he be 19, and he didn't graduate from high school, and he didn't go back like he should. And the thing was that in order for me to be in his life, I had to always fight through court and go through stuff, to the point now that those long range effects has affected him. You know, I believe he's going to go through life and get things right, but he's at a point now, well, why should he listen? He's at a hard-headed state of point. And, you know, the role of us two fighting against each other all the time, when it's like, you know what, the only way I can hurt you is through your kid, not thinking the fact that I'm sacrificing the kid. Right. See, we get to the point where a lot of men are looked upon down, or they're not in their kid's life, because I'm gonna tell you something. And this is a true story. There was a lady that was charged with murder. She's charged with murder, and she had to bury all 4 of her kids. And the reason why, don't get me wrong, it was messed up how the man cheated on her. He cheated on her, and they was getting divorced. And the judge said, you know, he's going to pick his child up at 1:00. But she said, I'm going to give him a hard time because I'm going to use the kids as a pawn just to do it. And what she did was she took the kids down to her friend's house. Now, her friend brother is a gang leader. and they were after him. They had a hit on him. So just so happened when she did that, that was the time that they wanted to shoot up his home. And here's the thing. They shot up the kids. It was in the news some years ago. They hit all 4 kids. Now, she never meant for her kids to get hurt, but she had to bury all her kids. And because she violated the court order being evil, they charged her with manslaughter, or I think it's 2nd-degree murder, something like that. And not only did she got to bury her kids, but she's in jail for the next 45 to 50 years of her life just because of evil act. And a lot of times parents don't get, especially a lot of these sons, because I have 3 son moms that I had to fight. Not had a baby by an adult lady yet. I'm just going to say it. Yet I have not sat down and had a conversation or a child by an adult lady. Everything I have to do, and it's because of feelings. And here's the thing. This is the reason why our kids are dying at an alarming rate on our streets, because we have parents that's fighting each other, that sacrifice. I heard a guy on lockup said, the reason why I became a murderer because my mom used me as a weapon against my dad. And if the person that gave me life can't respect the other person that helped give me life, then why should I respect life anyway? And so when I look at it like that, because there has not been one that I have not went to court with, and think about it. Why would you use the court system? Because I want to be a good dad and be in my kid's life. And see, unfortunately, that's how we do a lot of society. We don't talk about it in society. That's a hidden stigmata that's ugly that we don't talk about. Because a lot of times we have a lot of unfair situations, setups and everything in life, but we don't talk about the parents that use the kids against the other parents. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the parents that use the kids against the other parent. With my situation with my stepson, his mother used him as a pawn against his dad. His dad wasn't adult enough and strong enough to go to court and do what he needed to do to have visitation rights. She did get child support, and that's what she wanted. She just wanted to have child support. When she finally did get child support, that was her big hurrah. We were actually here in Illinois, and we had to go there to Florida, which he lives in Florida, which is where I'm from, and go to court. And her child support was increased. And she walked out like, nah, my child support is increased. And I'm like, good. You need to have money to take care of your kid. I'm telling my ex, look, you need to be paying child support. You need to be seeing your son. Your son needs to be with us when he was, because I met him when his son was a baby. And I always wanted to have a relationship with the little boy, but I never really got a close relationship with him because the mother and the dad, there's nothing I could do about that. And I didn't understand that like she said, if a man don't take care of his kids, he's not going to take care of yours. Even though my kids grew up with him, it's still a different thing. You still don't handle your responsibility properly because that's the type of person that you are. So I think if you went through and what happened with you? Did the court say you have visitation rights?
Yeah, I have visitation.
And did you perform your visitation rights?
Yes.
Okay.
But see, here's the thing though, but I'm talking about the adverse effect on him.
But the adverse effect is if your kid is going to be upset. I told my ex, I said, if you don't spend time with him, he's going to resent you. He's going to be mad at you. It's going to be hard for you to get a relationship with him as he gets older, because at some point he's not going to want nothing from you but finances. All he going to want is some money when he see you. He don't want to talk to you no more because he feel like you didn't even take time with him. You don't even care about him. I just need the things I need so I can get whatever I want now because I know that you don't really care about me,
But how much responsibility that, and I don't hear many women talk about this. See, we always talk about the dad's point, but we don't ever talk about what the mom, because if the mom is viciously using her child upon, she's heaving a lot on that child too.
Yes. And that's the problem. If the dad does not take his stand and do what he's supposed to do, then where does that leave the child? The child is with the mom, right? The child is with the mom and with her family. So the mom and her family get to say whatever they want to say about this dad. He's absent, so he can't defend himself. So the kid is left to think, okay, well, my dad must do feel that way because he hasn't called me. He hasn't come to see me. When I call him, he busy or he talked to me for a little while and that's it. And he never calls me back. I always have to call him. So it's on both parents. If the adult in the situation is not being adult, and then when it's both parents, the child is just left in limbo, and
Yeah,
that's a bad thing.
unfortunately, I mean, yeah, and that's true.
And
But at the same time, though, you know, we this conversation has been so one sided in communities. That's why you got the laws changed. Like the laws are changed now. When you go take a kid, we take a adult man back to child support. For child support increase, you have to bring, in Illinois, you have to bring your fund, your money as well.
mhm.
Because, you know, like I pay so much money for child support a month. And one of my son moms wanted to take me to court, but they threw it out because she would bring her information to show how much you make. Because you can't tell me I give you 20% of my income and then you're a millionaire. Because a lot of times you're doing that. But so many times, and that's true, what Keisha was saying is true, so many times we have gotten to the point, and the laws are changing because we have gotten to the point now that we want to hang a lot of this on the males. A lot of people, because I come from a family of men that take care of their responsibility. I am a man that take care of responsibility. When you look at my sons and you look at all the things I had to deal with to be in their life, you know, even though I've been in their life, it's still an effect on them because of that fight. And that's something that a lot of women don't take, you know, I'm glad you know, we talk about it. A lot of women don't take responsibility for. I'm not going to take responsibility for what I heap on my kids. Because the Bible says what you don't deal with, God deal with through your kids. A lot of these people, when you look at the detriment, the death in our communities, and all the things that's happening from gang banging and everything is from failed relationships. Because you know why? I can fight you, not understanding that the consequences to kids. Women don't take it. Most women say, well, if he would do what he's supposed to do, he stand up and do what he's supposed to do, then maybe he, you know, it wouldn't be that way. No. Ability not to pour that hate in my kid. It's like she said, we got to work together in your kids. You can't get mad at a man for trying to, because here's the thing. There were some times where I had to step back from my son, mom, and say, okay, I'm not going to put him in the middle of this war.
Right. I'm
not going to put him in the middle of this war. Just like I had a son, mom tell me, I bought your son a phone that he's been asking you for, but you get almost $800 a month child support. You didn't buy him a phone with your money. You bought him a phone with the money that he says I'm supposed to have. And when I get him, I got him.
Right.
But see, that's the point that we don't look. So when he asking me a question, he's feeling so nobody won't talk about that. And that is why our communities, our kids are suffering.
Well, with like other situations I've witnessed, a father's paying child support. He actually shows the kids that, hey, I'm paying child support to your mom. So, you know, I don't know why she didn't do ABC. You know, that's communication with your children. If the mother is not doing what she's supposed to do or not communicating effectively the way she needs to do. Dang, I lost my train of thought.
I love it. Come on. I need this camaraderie. Come on now.
Like if the dad is like you, in a position where he has visitation right and he has his kids during the time that you're with them, just love on them. Just let them know who you are. Let them know that you're there. Let them know that they could call you, and you call them. You still communicate with them even when they're with the mom who is not very a nice person. So it doesn't matter about her. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's all about the kid, you know. And kids grow up and they go through their teenage thing where they, you know, bumping heads with you or whatever. They're gonna do that. My stepson hates me. Like, he don't like me at all.
For real?
Like, he don't like me at all. And that's because he was with his mom, and his mom could say whatever, and his mom's family could say whatever. I don't know what they say. Maybe he feels like it's my fault that he don't have the relationship he don't have with his dad. But, you know, all I could do is tell him, I encouraged your dad to be with you and talk to you and do these certain things. I never wanted, when he was here and he left, I didn't want him to leave. I'm like, why you not making your son stay? Why you not telling him you want him to be here? This is what he wants from you. He didn't do that. He let the boy go back to Florida. And it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good decision. I don't think it was a good decision for him to go back. I don't think he really wanted to go back. But the mom wanted him to come back because she wanted child support. So.
Oh, wow. So he had custody. He was here with him.
Because he had custody. He was still paying child support while the kid was here. for like a year and a half. The little boy was here. And then, you know, if he got custody, then the child support would end. So she didn't want the child support in. So she say, tell him to come back. Oh, yeah. But.
And, you know, that's important because.
And then he let that connection basically wither because the kid, if, you know, it was like, out of sight, out of mind type, you know, and that's your kid. Like, you need to call him. You need to talk to him. So the kid became very angry, very upset. And he probably feels that isn't my fault since I was his wife at the time, you know, and he has brothers and sisters, you know, that his dad is actually there in their life. So how you think that kid feel about that? You know, you there with them, but you don't spend no time with me. You know, that's a bad situation. So
let me push you a little bit further. She said now she's never met his kids. And, you know, I work on weekends. So, you know, my current right now has never met my kids. She will, but she hasn't. Do you feel that a terrible or a bad relationship with your new mate's ex or your new spouse's ex, as far as the kids and everything, can really truly affect the relationship just like it did with Minister Keisha?
Yes. And I think it's important that you guys, that she does meet your kids before you get married. I think it would have been important for Keisha to have tried to have that discussion with the other parent before they got married, so she would understand what type of women, you know, she was dealing with as far as with his children, you know, because that's a part of him and a part of his life. So why she want to understand why is he not dealing with them? You know, this is why he's not dealing with them, because they're erratic. You know, he really don't have a choice in the matter. If she's saying, well, he can never be around, but once you get the court system involved, then he has to follow that court system. If she try to keep his son away from him or his daughter away from him, then he needs to go back to court, let the courts know, and let the courts deal with it. When she been locked up enough times and the baby is with him, she'll stop being ignorant about the situation.
So
he has to stand up and do what he's supposed to do.
So in that logic of thinking, is it a good idea for the new spouse to discipline your kids, being that there's such a tumultuous relationship with the ex?
I think you have to discipline, because you have to, I mean, if they're in your household and you have, first of all, if they're in your household, period, even if you don't have kids, you still have to set rules and regulations. It still has to be a standard. It's still certain things that you have to do. You have to still respect me. You know, you have to respect my house. And that's a part of discipline. If I say, don't put your feet on my couch, and I come in and say, take your feet down, and you just gonna keep your feet on my couch, then there's a problem, you know?
So then let's get back to what I said at the beginning of the show. How do you come in an already established place and do that? Like, okay, if I'm marrying somebody with kids and they're marrying me with kids, it is so important, like I was saying in the beginning, that we move into a new place, because there is no way I can come in an already set place and change it, because what works for you doesn't work for me. Like, I might be in a place where I might not like the situation. I might not like, because see, in my place, I'm a very stickler for what I want. When I tell a kid, one of my sons, to do something, they do it immediately. If they don't, they're going to pick themselves up off the ground. Or I might feel in my house, I don't want adults in my house. You know, like, if you're an adult, you're not going to just come in my house with somebody, or, you know, just, you know, it's not going to happen. But how can you come into a situation that's already set? Because when you marry somebody and you knew, it's got to be in the new. Because one thing that I have learned is that if I'm gonna come into somebody else's situation, I'm only gonna come there temporarily, to either get them out of it, to grow with them, so we move into our situation. But I have learned, in a situation that you come into that's already established, even with somebody, they are used to a certain living. Their kids are used to a certain way of living. Their family used to a certain way of living. So what you deem not good, they deem right, and they can always revert back to that. So they can always say, you know what, it's always been like that. You the new person here. And then you're the wrong person, not them. Because if a person is always in the sand and you like, okay, let's get into the water, and they always in the sand, and you try to get in the sand and live like them, you're not. because they used to be in the sand, used to be in the water. So you have to bring them into the water. So I've learned that. Like, you know, when I get married to my lady, my fiance, we're gonna before we marry, we're gonna move into a new place. We're gonna set the boundaries, the rules, and everything for the kids, for everything. So therefore, we can enforce that. But I would never marry her bring her into my home, or I would never marry her and live in her home. Because I would never want us to live into something established, because that's right there. It's going to be the biggest bullet for the kids, because the kids got used to something. But if you're new, she's new, the situation is new, everybody is new. And then you start off new.
I think that that's ideal, and that is a good idea, but everybody don't have that option. And if you have to live together in one of the other person's home, then that's a discussion that you guys should have before you even move in together. You should establish those boundaries and disciplinary restrictions and all those type of things before you move in together, if that's what you have to do. Ideally, yeah, of course you want to move into a whole different.
You move residence. My house. I'm getting tired of you. Get out.
I guess I gotta go. I mean, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say?
Her face like, get out. How many people that moved to somebody else's house, they said, get out? You can't talk to my kids that way.
Well, that's part of you knowing the type of person that you're dealing with before you even move in their house. You know, I'm not gonna move in with someone and I think that they might react to me like that because they don't like something I do or something I said. I'm not gonna move into your house.
Then what if a girl say, well, you know, your dad's new fiance, and the kids say, well, my mom lived here. We can stay up to 10 o'clock. You talking about 9:30? Well, my mom, because my mom and my dad used to always be in the room, and they didn't care about us being out here. Now you gonna come out here and tell me I go to bed at 9:30? Who is you? You ain't my mama. How you gonna deal with that?
Well, I just explained to them, I'm not your mother.
Look at him, all her fists up, y'all.
I'm my fists. No, you always have all my fists up.
He asked me one more question. I'm gonna bust his head.
You're so silly. I was just, let her
what
know.
Her purse
hey.
Oh, it's over there. She told her last show she was strapped. So let Earl keep her purse over there. Matter of fact, you gotta leave your purse in the car. She like this. She got her head and her thing balled up like this. Now you gonna have your fist all balled up.
Fist is not balled up.
Hey, and I got my super producer in here, Wanda Bolton, so I'm good.
Hey, we girls, we gonna handle this.
Man, listen, Wanda gonna protect me. Wanda gave me the opportunity. Wanda gonna protect me. Earl might let me fall out, but Wanda got me. See that?
That's family. Oh my goodness.
We didn't even get no piece from you today. You got a piece prepared?
You funny.
I try to be, but I'm good though. I got Wanda on the other side and everything. Girl say, when my mom was here, this house was cleaner. We had better stuff to eat. How you gonna deal with that? Yeah, but let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. Okay, you said that. Your stepson don't like you and his mom don't like you, and let's say for instance, the relationship was repaired between him, you and him,
mm-hmm.
and
and him being my stepson.
Your stepson,
mm-hmm.
You came back, and he's back here and you went to Chicago, and you're disciplining him, or he did something wrong, and you tell him. And his mom come down to pick him up from Chicago, and you tell him, you're not going nowhere till you get back and clean up your room right now. What did I tell you? And his mom say, I know you ain't telling my son what to do. How you gonna deal with that?
I mean, me and her have a discussion about it. Like, I told him he needs to clean up, and he didn't clean up, and he knew he needed to clean up before you got here. Do you have time, first of all? Because maybe she don't have time. Maybe she have a flight. I'm always open. I'm not an ignorant person that's just gonna be always ready to, jump down somebody's
excuse me. Where you get that?
Jump down somebody's throat and fight. Like, that's not who I am. That's not what I do. I'm a lover. So I don't crazy like that unless you come to me like that, and it might take a little while. But I can go there. But that's not where I don't really want to do that, because I don't really want to be in jail. So I don't really want to live that type of lifestyle. But I would tell her, what is actually going on. And I would hope that she would be adult about it, but knowing her, she wouldn't, Now
let's get serious right quick. Now, I got to flip to, let me get a little serious right now. Your stepchild come to you and say, my mom is on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go back there because my mom on drugs. I know you're not my mom. You just married my dad, but I don't know what to do. What do you do?
I would talk to him and comfort him and let him know, that, I'm here for him and I love him. I would talk to his dad about it. And if he's not comfortable at home, why are you not comfortable at home? What exactly happened? I want to know if somebody tried to attack him or if something happened to him.
Says mom his mom
was, you're right, your mom is on drugs, but what happened? Like, how do you know your mother is on drugs, and what happened? I'm not saying that I would send him back home. I'm saying that I would have a discussion with him. I would create a dialogue with him to find out, what's actually going on, because sometimes kids say things that may not be true. Not saying that he would be lying, but I'm saying I would investigate it and make sure.
Say, well, hey, I know that's his mom and she ain't gonna do nothing to hurt him, and if I trust him, you gotta trust him.
Well, no, because if he's uncomfortable for a reason. Why is he uncomfortable about going back home to his mother?
Well, that ain't your child. That's our child. How you gonna get involved?
Well, why am I here? Why am I here? That's how I feel about it.
Because see, how many parents out there feel that way? Because I asked the question earlier, and we can go back to it. Does having a kid by a man entitle you to be into their relationship with somebody else or with a woman? Y'all got a kid together. Does that entitle you to know how the relationship functions? Or does it entitle you to be in the relationship? Does it entitle you to know everything that's going on? Because should you know that I know this person I had a kid with, and I know this person will never let anything happen to my child. And should I be satisfied with that? Or should I be should I be the Pink Panther, or should I be a detective? Do I need to know what makes them function? What type of woman she is, what she do for a living, what a kid background? Do I need to know everything about her? Do I just trust that my child, my father's or my mother's or my child or my kids would protect my child? Because there is no reason, and in my point, there is no reason for my son to ever be, well, I'm not saying they won't be along with my new spouse, but most times I'm there. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times I work on weekends, so I don't see my sons the way I do. So again, because of my schedule's gonna change next year while I'll be able to see them. But do you feel that opens that door?
I think that everybody should be open. It's going to be a scenario in a situation where if your kids are living with you or they with you, that they may be alone with your future wife or with your wife when you guys are married. You have to establish ground rules when that time comes, because you're not always going to be there. It's going to be times where they're just going to be sitting, with her, or they're going to maybe go out with her to the store or to the movies or something. They should be able to enjoy each other alone if necessary. And you need to, if you're going to marry somebody, then you need to be comfortable with your kids being with them without you being present.
Okay, what if the person that your spouse dates or marries has a record? What if they say that this person is a reformed man of God, but this person used to be a gangbanger, used to be a killer? Or let's say this person murdered somebody, did this time for murder, changed his life, could be a Muslim now, a Christian, and this is somebody, or she could be this is somebody that your husband wants to marry or your ex wants to marry. Would you have a problem with that?
Again, people change, and things happen in people's life. People do things that they are not proud of, and things that they wish they had never done. But people change. You have to give people the option, the benefit of the doubt, sit down and have a discussion with the person, see where they are, spend some time with them. That's the only way you're going to know. You can't just go by, because if your spouse has decided to be with them, then what type of person is your spouse? Is your spouse the type of person that's going to deal with somebody who he think is a dangerous person or a negative person? So think about the type of mentality of your spouse, and then have the, create a connection with that other person who's coming into the relationship new.
Now, what about, okay, let's take an older child. Let's say this man been married for 4 years, and the stepmom is a doctor, and you graduated from high school, and your daughter or son is getting ready to go to college, and you're like, well, we're going to look at some college and everything. And then stepmom like, well, let me handle this because you don't have a degree. So you don't know what college offers, and you don't know how to do it.
Why you have people talking to people crazy?
No, because we don't want to get on here and make it like, we ain't the Cosby Show all the time. I love the Cosby Show, and I'm a man of God, but I'm also a human being. So I ain't going to get up here and be holy in the dial. Let me put hands on you and fall all out and want to jump around and screaming.
All right.
No, we ain't going to do all that.
All right.
We got to keep it real, because you know why? We always say, well, see, that's why I'll never give you no questions. I don't give nobody no questions. When you on here, I want you to get your honest answer, because if you thinking study wrong, I don't want that to happen.
Study wrong.
You study long, you study wrong. See, I don't need no diplomatic answer. Get up there and say, keep hope alive. No Jesse Jackson answers,
No.
Al Sharpton with the headbeat. No. We need some real, not even no Andrew Holmes answers where I seen the tapes and no, I won't need that. We need some real truth.
All right.
We need some unadulterated answers where you can talk from where you at. So what happened? You just did, because you're a little reserved, but I know you packing. I know you packing. So
with that,
look at Earl looking like, Earl, you make sure you hit him first.
Earl like, do I need to go out the door? You're fine. I'm here to protect everyone. But anyways, for that scenario, I would say I would be open, because I would want the best for my child. I want my child to, get into a good college, and I would like to be included. And I would hope that my ex's spouse would never come at me that way, to say it that way. I always say it's not necessarily what you say, but how you say it. So if you can come to me respectful, then I can respond to you in a respectful manner.
Okay.
Your
daughter, Valerie Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
She say, I would thank everybody that helped me get here. And I couldn't have done it without my stepmom. She was there and she guided me through all this. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. How would you deal with that? What would you say? How would you deal with that?
I mean, I wouldn't say anything. I think I would contain my feelings. I think I would be hurt by that, because I'm human. I think that would bother me a lot, that you didn't, acknowledge any of the stuff I did for you before this person came into your life, situation, because I raised my kids. I've been with my kids all the time. Like, I'm a true mom. So that will bother me a lot. Somebody else, if they might feel some type of way and they could go on, me, it would bother me a lot. I probably wouldn't say anything to my child that day, because that's her day. I want her to enjoy it. But it would definitely affect me. I would definitely be hurt by it and bothered by it.
Good, because see, and people of God, again, if you want to call in 708-223-8953, we're talking about if your ex decides to get married again. And does that new spouse have right to discipline your kids? Do that new spouse have a right to say something about the development of your kids? Who has the last word? Minister Keisha brought up something that was very powerful, because according to the Bible, that you're supposed to get married and forsake all others. Therefore, what you guys say together should supersede what anybody else, or what you guys do together supersede anybody else. But that is difficult in saying that when it comes to your kids, because this person is an outside person coming in when you've always been there. Now, it's different if a kid not there, or if a kid parent is deceased, then that's different. Then you do assume that role of their parent. But it has to be, like you said, it has to be an understanding, because she made me think about that, because I'm on vacation now, so my kids will meet my fiance, but they have not yet met them because, you know, I work 911. I get, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're only off on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so important that is so true. So overall, what do you think? What do you think should happen, and why don't you think it does happen? As far as new spouses and old lovers.
I think I still think that it should be a unit thing. I think that everybody should be able to sit down and talk together. If they can't, then the adults that are mature enough to do that should do it, even if the other adults don't want to. I think you should communicate with the children and make sure they're comfortable with the situation. Um, if there's grandparents involved, then you know maybe the adult that is immature, maybe you could talk to grandparents or somebody else that's going to be around the children or something like that um, to kind of bridge the gap for that other person. And I'm going to just go back a little bit with my situation with my ex and my stepson. It came a point where, you know, I was very hurt that I couldn't be you know, as much as a stepmother to him that I wanted to be because of the mother and the father. And then my ex's, you know, family, it was just like I had to just step away from it. Like I was just like, you know, I can't do nothing because this is not my child. You know what I'm saying? These are my child. These are the ones that I have. These are my children. These are the children I gave birth to. I can only do so much for this kid. If his parents don't want me to be involved and don't want me to have a say, I can't do anything. And this is my husband. So, you know, that was a very hurtful situation for me to have to deal with and to have to step away from him, you know, and let him go back to Florida. You know, and I couldn't ever have the relationship. He was 11, 12 by then. So it was painful, you know, just I get a little sad about it, but it's life. There's nothing that I could do about it. It's nothing that I could do to or say to him to make him understand that I'm not whoever he think I was, you know, that I'm not telling your dad not to deal with you. I would never do that. Like I want you and your sisters to have a, you know, relationship. My youngest daughter, I actually took her to Florida, and she wanted to meet up with him and spend time with him. When we were here, it was fine. He was talking to her. He said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I'll bring her to you, you know, because I know that he don't really want to deal with me. Y'all can hang out. You can let me know when to come pick her up, or you could bring her back to my mom's house." And that was fine. But when we got there, we couldn't find him. We couldn't contact him. So she's hurt. I'm hurt for her because she can't see her brother, and he has a child. You know, so that's her little niece now. You know, so it creates a really bad divide when people are not mature in situations when you're dealing with children.
And I'm glad you hit on that. You know, talk about more in depth about the feelings, because there are some people that want to be in the kid's life but can't because of the other parents in the family. What adverse feelings that it makes you have being an outside person looking in when you really care about something that's really not yours?
I mean, it makes you
How do you deal with that?
I just had to step away. And I just had to understand the situation for what it was and realize the situation for what it was and just do what I could do. I could only take care of my children and let my children know, look, they're like, well, why can my brother do this, but I can't? Because your brother really not supposed to be doing that, but or whoever is letting him do whatever. I can't really say anything because then I'm looked at like I'm doing something wrong if I'm trying to tell him, you know, that's not acceptable. You know, or if your dad decides to pay for stuff for him, but he won't pay stuff for you, but that's because of his guilt for not being there for him, you know? So, I mean.
So can that relationship like that between ex destroy a relationship?
Yeah. I mean, it could be a part of it. It won't be the only factor, but it'll be a part of it.
Yeah.
I think communication is like a number one issue in any type of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or you just friends or it's business. You have to communicate, and you have to communicate effectively. You have to take into consideration the other person's feelings, their thought process, all that. You know, if you don't do that, then your relationship is going to fall apart anyway. And then if you are somebody who believes in God, you got to make sure that you keep him as the center. All apart.
So what advice would you give to our listeners right there, right now, that's engaged or could be getting married to somebody with kids?
I would say to make sure that you keep communication open. If they have children with other people, that if you can, you communicate with the other, the mother or dad of the children. Make sure that you actually interact with them at some point before you get married. Make sure that you're with one accord with your future spouse. If you're going to be living together, make sure you're with one accord and you guys, communicate and understand what each other expect from one another and what the disciplinary actions will be for the children involved. School and faith and all that, just keep the lines open.
Okay. Now, before I give my comments, because we were posting it, I got two questions. I always wonder if Earl Winfrey and Wanda Bolter can cook. I always wonder if they can cook, because I never see them with no homemade food. I've been coming here for months, and I ain't never heard Wanda say I cook anything or Earl say I cook anything. Not once. I don't know if Earl can cook, though. Earl don't look like he can cook. He might boil some hot dog. Wanda, you look like you can cook, but Earl, I ain't gonna test with Earl chicken. You think Earl can cook?
I don't know. Earl look like he might be able to grill. He
on barbecue grill. I don't know.
Are you a griller, Earl? No.
Earl got about 1,900 TV dinners upstairs.
Nachos. Oh no.
Right. He got about 900. He got about 900 TV dinners. One for this, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me give my comments. First of all, just like Minister Keisha said, God has to be first. You got to let God choose, because the woman I'm with now, I could have never chosen on my own. God had to choose, because I would have missed what I needed to see in her. So I had to let God choose, but I had to let God make me into the right vessel to be the right husband or wife, person for the person, the right husband for the person. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we can get into relationships, we get into things that we're not ready for because we have not let God cultivate us until he has created us to be. Another thing is the Bible said we serve God in spirit and truth. You'll never know nobody's truth until you know their spirit. When you're getting involved with somebody with kids, my advice is always to start somewhere neutral, because it is hard to make somebody do something in something that they've been doing for years. I have always found my greatest achievements is been doing something new or starting something new, because therefore I have no already preset mindsets in that or patterns that I take with me. Because I always say, what doesn't work with me, I don't want to take it to my unknown, because then I turn my unknown to somewhere that doesn't work. So I want to take nothing from what didn't work. Now, in my relationships, that I can sit up right now and I can criticize my son moms, and it'd be easy to do that. But I had to realize that I was just as broken as them, and I had my stuff together just as them. And a lot of it was physical, not mental, because I cannot give somebody something that I'm not. Let me say that again. I cannot give somebody something that I'm not. And see, in order for me to give somebody some peace, I have to be peace myself. And a lot of times we're trying to give somebody stuff or be in somebody or be with somebody, do something that we're not equipped to do because we're not that inside. Because you can always tell a man's heart by what he says or what he feels or what he does. There's no greater language or louder language in this world than actions. Let me say, there's no greater language or no louder language than actions. And see, a lot of times that now you have to sit down with somebody, because I'm letting somebody know that in my house, I will be head of my house. And in being head of my house, there are certain things that I will not let happen. But I also realize that I have no right to come into somebody else's house and tell them what to do. That anybody who's going to start a relationship, especially with kids, when you're going to set rules and boundaries, it has to be in a neutral place that you both can grow in, that's conducive and that is greater for both parties. Because any situation you move into is greater for one party. Just like any situation you move out of into another situation is greater for the other party. Neutrality means the difference in survival. I'm going to say that again. Neutrality means the difference in survival. You know, the reason why is because you're starting at the same place. You can't get mad at me if you give me 60 cents and I got 40 cents and I buy more, and I'm mad at you for buying more because you got more. But if I got 50 and you got 50, then we have a whole dollar, and therefore we start off right. So right then and there, another thing is that I think the men has to step up, because you have to make the peace or between the two ladies or the person. Men have to be men. Men act like men. And in order for you to do it, and then we have to be adults. That's the first thing we really have to be. It is adults. Move on. The relationship didn't work. We should not make this child pay for our failures. But we have to realize, if we don't do that and we become petty in our thinking and our actions and the way we see relationships, because a lot of times they use kids as pawns to destroy relationships or control a relationship. And then what happens, they plant cancers in child when they're with them, so they can go and spread it in the new place. So that's what happens. See, but we have to not let that happen, and we have to pray over our kids, but we have to stop it. But we have to find God first, and then sit down and say, okay, we're going to do this, because I know that I'm moving into a situation with a lady that I'm married with, a 16-year-old child. Now, I can't come in here and say, you're going to do this now, because it's a learning process. But when we get married and we move into my home, then that changes. That becomes, you're going to do what I say do when I say do it, or you're going to have a problem. And the thing is, that's a choice that the mother makes or she makes. But at the same time, we have to put what's right for the kids, but we have to realize that we have to let go, and we have to trust the judgment of the other parent. Know that other parent loves the kid enough that they're not going to put them in a harmful situation. Because once we do that, then that sets the stage for a higher conversation and more dialogue. But if we get to the point where we trying to protect the child from the other parent, as we so say candidly, I'm just trying to protect them from you. You're not protecting them from me, because you didn't protect you from me. That's why I got this kid. So how you gonna protect me, my child, from me now, when you didn't protect me from you? If I was so bad, why did you lay down and have a kid with me? Obviously, I wasn't bad then. So that's why I'm not gonna knock any of them and say, because at one point I had to care for them enough to have a kid. But I do not want my kid, stepchild, or my regular child to live a rerun of my failed life. And that's why they call it generational curse. So when I say, God, wash me clean, but wash my bloodline. Let none of those trivial things that have bogged me down harm my kids. So step one, first you have to consult with God if this the person. Because I am marrying, I've said this before, I am marrying a person, not a situation. And I will never answer anybody's kids, ever. I am not marrying your kids. I am not marrying their situation. I am marrying you. And you will never make me take on that situation. You'll make me take on you. And when I say I do, then I assume the position that God gave me. You assume the position that God gave you. And we work together in a neutral place, together for mutual growth. But I will never come into a situation that's already preset, preordained, and predestined. If I do that and I come in, you say, well, you know, you got to discipline my kids. You can just, no. I need to discipline your kids in my world. It's something that we create. A lot of people say, well, Corey, it's not easy. You're right. A lot of times it's not, but you shouldn't get married into a situation that you're not ready to get married from. If you think about the beginning, when God created Adam, he gave him a job first. He created him, then he gave him a place to live, which was the garden. Then he gave him a job. Then once he gave him a job and he was working, he said, now let me give you Eve. And too many people want Eve before they get the place and they get the job. You know, how can you take care of a spouse if you're not taking care of your own? Just like my brilliant co-host said, if you're not taking care of your own, how are you going to take care of a spouse and everything? And see, you cannot lead somebody if you're not going nowhere. The Bible says that man is in place of God in his household. And if that man is not in place of God in his household, then his household is not going to, and it's not what he set the standards. Because when somebody says, I disagree with that, that's what God says. Judgment Day and disagree with God with his word. Because the Bible said in Revelation 20 chapter, they'll be gnashing of teeth, that they're going to be thrown in the lake of fire. So when you look at that, but we have to come together for the rights or the benefits of the kids, not us. Let that failed relationship go. Let that jealousy go. It didn't work. It's over with. Now let's come together for kids. Because I'm going to tell you something. I read this last night. 75% of marriages that end, 2 reasons: lack of communication and kids. 75%. The other 25% is because of cheating. But there's a term that they use in the court: irreconcilable differences. That means that nobody's listening to nobody. And it's always the kids. And here's the thing that's going to blow you away about that statistic. 65% of that statistic, of that 75%, is somebody fighting against somebody else's kid that's not their own. Why? Because that's the weapon that the spouse has given the old person to use against the new spouse, or the ex has given the old relationship person the weapon to use against their kids. It's up to them to set the standards. My son moms, if they have to meet my new spouse, it'll always be in passing. They're dropping my kids off. They would never have a conversation, because I don't mix stuff. Because you know why? Some things are powder kegs, and I don't need to spark the light a bomb. Sometimes you got to let some things go. So that's my perspective on this subject. I want to thank my amazing co-host. And you want to do a piece before we leave? Or you? Sure. She gonna do a piece. We gotta get a piece from her every day. We'll close out with that piece. Okay.
If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw or what club I've been to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw or what club I've been to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. Contrary to popular belief, love is an action. I love you, and so I tell you. I hug you and kiss you. I call you and text you. I write you love letters and poetry that provide reflections of me. I love you, and so I want you close. When I reference you, my preference is to use capital letters because you are important to me. I want you happy. I want to see you succeed, even if it's not with me, because I love you and I care. As parents, we are mindful. We watch and discipline our children. We don't want to see them hurt themselves or others. We don't want to see them in negative situations, and so we scold them. But we also rock and hold them. We pray to God to help us as we mold them because we love them and we care. I tell you the truth. I choose not to deceive you. I choose not to do you dirty because of that love. Some say love is a wonderful thing. Some say love hurts. Both of these are true in the lessons of love. But to me, love is not brutal. It can also mend. Love is not vindictive or spiteful. Love is not manipulative and angry. On the contrary, love brings joy. Love does not intentionally put others down, cause pain, or stunt growth. Love promotes. It endures. It encourages. Love respects. Not so blind, although sometimes it does cover its eyes. It watches patiently and takes its time. I'll give you the example of him. He stretched out his arms for us. He came back. He pours his spirits among us because he loves us. Even though we sin, even though we fall short, he forgives us. He intercedes for us and prays for us. He keeps us because he loves us. So trust me and believe me when I tell you that love is not just a feeling, not just an emotion. It's not just what you say, but it's also what you do. Love is a verb, and that's that piece.
Peace, y'all. See y'all next week. Woo!
Butterfly!